Hi, Steve.
Hi, Chris.
So, everybody, welcome to our 1 hour live on YouTube show called A Man's Journey. And this is dedicated to the male caregivers out there.
That's us.
And so today we are here, first time broadcasting live on YouTube. Uh, if you are listening and you see us out there, please hit that like button and subscribe on the Raregivers channel. The more likes we get, the more views we get, and the more people we get interested. So, what we're trying to do right now is enlist a male population of caregivers, right? Like you,
Or
Steve.
anyone who wants to listen. But what we're shooting for is a format for us guys to talk about caregiving and everything it entails. And it might be a little different from a different perspective, but we're going to give you ours. And it's kind of unique. And maybe you'll stick around and see what we have to say. Hopefully we can help you with something.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to talk from the male caregiver point of view. And hopefully, when we figure out how this looks and what this sounds like, we'll get a little bit better at it. But right now, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Christopher Vallone. I'm your host, along with
Secondhand Steve.
Secondhand Steve. There's been some kind of debate about this name, hasn't there?
You know, someone asked me, what does secondhand mean?
I mean, we've had some issues already. This is the pre-show.
For proper spelling. Here's where our experience might help you is when you've done this long enough and maybe you've had different services and different people come in, you'll see who's good at what they do and then who is not so good at what they do. And sometimes someone might be overly qualified and on paper they look wonderful. And then you realize it's not a fit. There's so much involved.
Yeah, I mean, I have fired quite a few people. And it's not because I disliked them, but they were just incapable of having everything that I needed. And I guess I'm a parent. I'm a tough employer. I mean, how are you holding up, Steve? You're working with me. Am I okay?
You are, and I'll tell you why. You want what's best for your son, and that comes first.
Right.
And as long as I see that in a parent, I'll work with him however I can.
Yeah, you came from a very different background. You're a caregiver. You have a lot of experience with something that a lot of people don't really do. You married into a family or a woman that had a child, multiple children, one of which that was severely autistic.
Correct.
And you stayed and you married this woman.
Not only that, before our first date, she showed me a video of her son having a meltdown in his chair in the middle of the living room. And just full on stemming, the movements, the verbalization, the yelling. And it didn't even slow me down.
Really?
How crazy is that? That's why I say caretaking calls you.
That's just amazing that you not only you stayed, that you actually helped raise that kid.
To the best of my ability. And again, I had to learn a whole different way to do things. I had to learn a whole different way to see things. And there's also the other 3 children, so that there's a dynamic there. And anytime you have a special needs child or a child with a rare disease or a child with any kind of a disability or lack of ability, it affects the entire family in different ways. It's never just between one person. It's everyone, and everyone has to learn to cope with that. I remember my daughters not wanting to bring their friends over because they were embarrassed to their brother. And how else are you supposed to feel when you're a young child, or you're in your junior high and high school years?
Well, how hard was it?
Well, he's very loud, number one. So
Yeah.
when I stopped watching him, I heard him for about 6 months. Every time I heard a noise, it sounded like him in the background because he had a constant, he was constantly verbalizing.
How old is he now?
28.
And you're no longer taking care of her.
Correct.
I see. Okay.
And that freed me up to work with my new client, which is outstanding.
Who would that be?
That would be your son.
That's right.
And because of my experience with my stepson, coming over here and working with this young man was so much different. The way he is in life is much different than the way my stepson was. He's very gentle, very docile. Can have his moods too, but it's the intensity of it is nothing compared to what I'm used to. So even when sometimes you go, "Are you okay?" It's, to me, it's not even a speed bump.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm trying to be a little bit more gentle in my old age with nurses.
Time will do that to you.
Nurses and practitioners that come into the house, so
yeah.
You are quite different when it comes to caregiving. I honestly, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt, but you're very docile and gentle, but very strong. And I think that it's important for Sebastian, who's a man, to have male companionships.
And we see that when, let's say, one of his caregivers that's a female will tell him to stop doing something, he'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, "Stop doing that."
It happens every day.
He'll stop. And it's just the dynamic of it. It's not personal.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And we have to work with that.
Right.
See, if someone's overly sensitive, if someone takes everything personal, if someone thinks they're being attacked or thinking their client doesn't like them because, whether it's lack of eye contact or lack of anything, it's not personal. We're swimming in waters we never swam in.
Well, it is. It's kind of personal. You have to like the client, don't you?
I'm talking about the behaviors the client has, especially when you're new, because it takes time.
Well,
but if someone's overly sensitive, they're going to feel rejection. They're going to feel dejected. And there's a point where maybe you have to get past that. So what I'm trying to say to the new caregiver is give your client a shot. Really try to understand where they're coming from, because it might be different than your last client. It might be a completely changed, or it might be your first client. And to understand that, watch and observe how they do things, how they like things, how they are. And then you adjust yourself to that. But it can never be cookie cutter. You come in, this is how it's done, this is how it. People are different. You have to custom tailor it to what's in front of you. Well,
that's sage advice, but
at least 50-cent advice.
Well, it's secondhand advice for sure.
Give you a discount.
All right. So if you're just joining us, I'm Chris Vallona.
I'm secondhand Steve.
I'm a caregiver to a young man of 21 years of age battling Batten disease. And this is my caregiver, Steve, secondhand Steve. He's on the job. So basically our platform is to talk to men in this space, whether you have a child or a niece or a friend that's affected in the caregiving space. Elderly parent as well. If you're just a doctor or a lawyer and somebody's affecting you in this life, or if you're just another caregiver trying to find a way to get some help and some answers, or learn how to be more responsible, more accountable,
and more of what you want in life. Maybe you don't want to put a parent in a home or assisted living. So a caregiver can be the remedy for that. It can keep the house intact. It can keep mom or dad from having to go to a strange place.
Well, wait a minute. It may be better that they go to that strange place.
Again, you gotta take a look at what's in front of you, what you got.
So the essence of this 1 hour show, mind you, currently it's going to be on the Raregivers platform. If you're just tuning in,
what's that website?
Subscribe and like first, and that's raregivers.global. And I want you to put your information in the chat. We'll get back to you if you have any questions. Either myself or secondhand Steve will give you some secondhand advice, of course.
We'll give you all our years of experience and however we can be helpful.
Right. And we're also going to talk about other topics that men are talking about, like I know this is kind of like an introduction and it's kind of like a test, like it's called what they call this. My kid calls it beta. I'm not a gamer, whatever. So tonight we're going to talk about this work-life balance, and this is called, how do we address the challenges in juggling professional demands with family life and personal interests? And when we talk about work-life balance, we're talking about once you leave your caregiving job, if you're working for a family or an institution, and you go home, right? The challenge for me is I never get to leave. I'm here 24/7,
Correct.
so but I do leave when you and my other nurse Veronica shows up. So um maybe let's just talk about how do you do that? How do we as caregivers find the balance? I'm gonna let the dog out. That's what we do here. We just do everything live.
Who lets the dog out? Why
Uh
does that sound so familiar? So while he's doing that,
yeah.
if you're looking at me right now and you're a caregiver and you have a question, no matter what you think it is, send it. Run it past us.
Put in the chat.
Where
Put in the chat.
we we have experience in areas that most people don't, and most caregivers do. And it's and you talked about me being patient and kind and loving. Stop me if I'm going on. I'm kidding, but I never used to be this way.
Really?
Yeah, it's not my forte. But what happens is when you start living a more life, you start seeing that you want to make a difference in someone else's.
Mm.
And what a great opportunity caregiving is for that.
Wow. Aren't you just so sentimental right now?
It's true. It's a reward and a rewarding career, if you want to call it that, that I haven't found, and I've had too many jobs. And this is the one that means the most to me, because when you do your duties and you do them right, you leave knowing you did make a difference. And if you look at something where you can make a difference, and there's a lot of careers and jobs that I'm not qualified for and don't have the schooling for, the license for, but this I can do. So I'm doing it.
Well, it's great that you don't have a license for this. Thank you.
I shouldn't have said that.
Jeez.
I'm talking about RN, LVN,
Okay.
different fields that are caregivers by nature.
Well, it's true. I mean, you don't need a license to be a caregiver. I mean, you could be what they call a community support systems person. You don't need a license for that. You just need a brain and a heart, which you I think qualify, right?
I should hope so.
Okay, good. Do you have any ideas on how we as caregivers find that balance between that workplace and that family home? How are we supposed to just turn everything off when we get home?
There's what you want to do, and then there's what happens. And there's going to be days when you give it all, and you got nothing left when you get home. Nothing left. You know, I tell my wife I could take a message for Steve. I'm just not available right now. And then there's days where it gives you energy. It all depends on what's happening that day. And just like in life, you're going to have days that are tough. There's going to be days that test you. There's going to be days where the unexpected happens. And you have to be able to adjust to what happens and go with it and be okay with it as long as you give it your best.
Really?
So every day is not going to be the same. It's not going to be, I go to the factory, I put part A into part B and fit together, and do it again and again and again. Something like this, it can be monotonous and tedious.
Well,
but
listen,
you're on your toes.
I don't know if Steve's pretending to be this gentle, but I think that for me, it's like I am frustrated, I'm angry, and I'm tired. And I want to yell and scream and beat stuff and wreck stuff because I do not like my son's disease. I do not like taking care of my son's disease. Now, mind you, that's different than me taking care of my son. Don't put words in my mouth. I don't like taking care of my son's disease. And I love my son, but I am exhausted. When the caregivers go home, I'm on the clock. When the caregivers are here, I'm on the clock. Why? Because my son doesn't react to them, that only reacts to me. And so if I am not here, there has to be a lot of distractions. But the minute that these people go home around, between 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night, I'm on the clock until, 6 o'clock in the morning until that kid goes to school. I'm frustrated. I'm tired.
So tell you my story. I told you this, but you
Yeah.
haven't heard it.
Uh-huh.
So my stepson had a seizure and actually broke his lower jaw.
Ay, ouch.
Fire department shows up. I've never seen an unhinged jaw before. And you call 911 and you get the fire department there. And the fire department shows up. And they're looking at me funny. They're looking at me like, this guy got a little angry with the kid for whatever reason and might have popped him.
Yeah, look at you.
And I've never, it was a horrible feeling to be judged like when you're just trying to, do what's best for your kid. And I went through it. It almost seems like it's a rite of passage. You have to go through it. And you have to get frustrated. You have to fight. You have to
did you get
pull
arrested?
something out of yourself.
Did you get arrested?
No, of course not. Because broke his own chop in his future.
I'm just saying.
But, it'll bring stuff out of you that you didn't even know you had, and the anger, the frustration, everything, the stress, the anxiety.
Well, how do you deal with that? How do you find that balance? What do we do? Where do we go?
For me, it happened of itself after enough experience to where I understood that I'm here to make this person as comfortable as possible and do everything I possibly can in the day I'm in the moment with that person. And it's going to be different every time sometimes, but I just have to give it my all. That's it. And whatever happens, we adjust and we take care of it. Because there has to come a time where you surrender to
I
how
don't.
it is.
I'm not there yet. I have a gym that I built out there with a heavy bag.
It's good to exhaust yourself.
And I hit that thing with all I got.
Yes.
And I lift those weights until I collapse. I guess that's me being Zen. I'm not, secondhand Steve. Like, look at him. He's just calm, like, the dew on a lily in the morning.
Life has its way with me, and this is the result.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here today and helping me find the balance. I mean, because I do support groups. Do you do support groups?
No, I don't.
So
I'll tell you, I only had one experience with a support group, and it kind of depressed me. And that's what I don't like. You don't like the frustration and the anger and the difficulty.
Yeah.
I don't like the when someone retreats into being a victim, or they let self-pity just take them over. Then we're no good of use to our clients at that point. And we have to be there for people. We have to pull it together. Someone has to.
Well, support groups work for me. Just because Steve doesn't like it doesn't.
I didn't like it. So
yeah,
you have more experience in that area.
If you want to go to a support group, go to a support group and check it out.
Yes.
Right.
Support.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're not for everyone. According, Steve doesn't like them. I love them. I get to, like I was saying out back, beat up that bag. I get to, vomit on these other people that actually understand me.
No, that's another thing too, is the idea that you can do this alone. It has to go.
Oh, well, that's why I hired you.
Yeah, we need each other. We cannot do this alone. This is bigger than that.
Well, I don't have a profession. Would you say that my profession is caregiving?
Your profession is advocating.
That's true. I am an advocate.
And caregiving is the means to make sure your son is well taken care of.
So that professional demand of family, that's tough too.
It is, because the attention that's given to the person who has the condition is going to take away from those that don't. Well,
there's that whole discussion about the siblings. My other son, Gage, as I told you about, I wonder how he thinks and feels. I wonder if he's ever really been truly honest with me. You know, he tells me that he loves us and stuff like that, but
Well, and you want to know why?
why?
Because you never had a brother with a rare disease before,
That's true.
and your son does.
Well, I mean, it's questionable. My middle brother David, he was a little bit mental. Does that count?
Well, I think all of us. It's
You'd say our mental health is in jeopardy. I mean, I don't know. I hear what you're saying. So it's I guess more to be discovered. Hopefully later on. We're both in therapy, so that's a start, right?
huge. That's
Me, me and my other son, we're in therapy. Where we actually get to respectfully have the ability to share opinions. And it's only been one session, but it was great. I heard
sometimes the willingness to go because there's an opportunity and a possibility there to discover something and grow, evolve from it.
yeah, right.
Sometimes just being able to get on the same page and do it
Yeah,
is better than the session itself.
right.
As long as you stay in that frame of mind where you're teachable,
Well,
you want to improve things, and you want to be able to understand what others are going through and how they feel, and having a mediator there in the form of a therapist can help with that greatly because of our own blind spots.
oh my God. Maybe we're just not ready to hear the truth.
The truth is never an easy lump to swallow, I don't think.
I think the room is getting dark secondhand.
The sun is going down. We're coming at you live, unless you're not watching this live. Just coming at you.
You think this is giving more light?
Let's see. Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
Look at that. You can't see it, but you can see my pumpkin lights on because it is almost October 1st.
That'll happen tomorrow.
Happy Halloween. We're almost there. And you can't see, but right about there's my other caregiver, my lovely LVN, Veronica, who's playing with Sebastian outside. And what they're doing is they're allowing me this time to do the show, which is what Secondhand Steve was talking about. You can't do it alone. And I'm just happy that I have help. And there's a word that I want to end the show on. Strong. And this was given to my son, and my son gave it to me. Like, I keep it on my desk.
You know what can cut right through that?
My tears.
Water.
My tears. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so strong can mean so many different things in so many different ways.
Yeah. I'm just saying that strong, there's 6 letters. Yeah, you hear him? Dad. What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought.
Strong.
Strong.
6 letters.
6 letters strong. I feel like
This turned into a spelling lesson.
is Vanna White gonna turn the numbers?
Use it. Can you use the word in a sentence?
Today I feel strong. And there you go.
I've seen one spelling bee on the internet.
That's right. So listen, I just wanted to say thank you for joining our beta test. Hopefully we get better at this. Hopefully,
any suggestions, please let us know.
put it in the chat. We're awful and we don't care, but it's okay because we're here. We just want to let you know that we're listening. We hear you. If you're a caregiver out there, let us know what you think.
And we could use your support too.
Yeah,
that's what this is about. It's about knowing you're not alone.
I like that, man. Hey, I'm shake and bake. Yeah, it's the best. So once again, this is a man's journey with
Secondhand Steve
and Christopher Valona, live on YouTube. If you have any questions or comments and you want to reach out to us, you can just reach us down. We'll have the information how to get a hold of us in the chat with the show notes. Hopefully they put that in there. Or, we'll get the chat and we'll respond to you. And remember, every Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're in Los Angeles, goes for about an hour, talking about men's topics. So to give you an idea, next week's show, we're going to talk about fatherhood and parenting challenges. of fatherhood in modern day society and evolving role of fathers in the rare space or in the special needs space or in the rare giving space.
And if you're not a father, we'll show you how to do that too.
What? Well, with that, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today on A Man's Journey, and we'll see you next week. Okay?
Make us your new friends and look forward to seeing you again.
I'm just trying to find the stop button. Oh my goodness. All right. See you later.